Flashtalks, the uncut edition. Just say it how you feel it.
This is where vibes meet voice, jokes meet truth, and we talk the things.
Tonight, nothing is off limit. There's culture, relationships, mental health, human life, we touching it all. It's raw, it's real, and it's about time. We're not here to play safe. We are here to talk what's on everybody's mind.
From hot takes to belly laughs, the crew is locked in and ready.
More people, real voices, real conversations. That's what Flash Talk is about.
Big vibes, big topics, small island, but big conversations. Flashback. Let's get this started. Talk up the things and not straight up. The uncut edition, where we peel back the layers of everyday topics to uncover the extraordinary. I'm your moderator, Nicola Williams, and tonight we're diving into a question that's as old as identity itself. What's in a name? Is a name just a label? Or does it carry the weight of our history, culture, and destiny? From the names we're given at birth to the ones we choose for ourselves, we'll explore how names influence our lives in unexpected ways. Joining me tonight are four remarkable individuals whose insights will shed light on our theme. Thank you for joining tonight as we focus on the topic, what's in a name. I will ask them to introduce themselves, but while they're thinking about what they're going to say, there are some friends who shared their names and their meaning, and I will share them with you. And I'll start with Silma. Silma means safe and sound or peaceful. Allison means noble, adaptable, a free spirit, and complex but delicate flower. Florence means flower in bloom. Hillary means strength. This person possesses the qualities of valor and resilience. Arlene means free. That name carries a strong sense of commitment and loyalty. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into it. Please tell us your name and its meaning. And we'll start with the gentleman among us. Go ahead and tell us what's your name and the meaning of it.
Thought you don't start with the ladies.
That's all right.
Notwithstanding. My name is Edgar, and I was told by Kashina, my wife, that Edgar means a prosperous person.
Wow. I like that. A prosperous swordsman. Quite interesting. Constance.
Oh, yes. My name was given to me by my aunts Primrose and Paulette. It was a debate over naming me whether Faith or Vanessa. And I really don't think that would have fit my style. So now my name is Constance. It is, although French, means steadfast, faithful, perseverant, even in the face of obstacles.
Look at that. Perfect.
Match me, Drew.
Very well said.
Okay, no.
Look, and in Jamaica, I know that persons do try to be very intentional when they're
Mhm.
choosing names
Yeah,
for their children.
of course.
Of course. Tell us about you, Jenny.
Good evening. My name is Janine, and my name actually means God is gracious.
Yeah.
Wow. And we do have a lovely young lady online, and I'm going to ask her to share her name and the meaning of it.
Guess I'm
All right. Are you muted? We will get back to our next panelist. In the meantime, could you share a nickname you have had and the story behind it? So at this time, I'm sure Edgar would love for me to choose a lady. So I am going to start with Janine.
Wow.
Could you share a nickname you've had and the story behind it? And of course, those of you who are joining us online, you're welcome to share your input in the chat as well.
Um, the one that comes to mind actually for me is Lucky Beauty. I had an uncle that called me by that. He referred to me as Lucky Beauty. Anytime he would call me, he would actually call me Lucky Beauty. And to be honest, I used to be very, very upset every time that he did it. It used to kind of hurt me a little bit. Um, and I remember the day that I went to his house and he called me and I literally broke down crying. And he turned to me and said to me, Jenny, what are you crying for? You're my Black Beauty. Um, and I said, why do you call me that? And he said, because you are black and you are beautiful. He said, you are the one that stands out of all of your siblings, because out of all my siblings I'm the darkest. And he said, you stand out the most to me based on that. And you are black and you are beautiful. And he says, never forget that. And it actually stood with me then, since. And I never actually had an issue once he explained it to me with the name of it.
So now you know everybody will call it that. Blacky Blacky. Hello.
And you are indeed
That.
black and beautiful. You
Absolutely.
are.
It's true.
You are. Constant.
Well, for me, it's funny. A simple one too. I'm not like one of those people that you name Constance and then they call you Vanessa as a nickname. You know, the name doesn't work. Connie does. And my grandmother was the one who said name her. The nickname should be Connie. And then going to school now, everybody, and even up to now, when I say my name, I say my name is Connie or it's Constance, and say, oh, we know, Kanati. So there you go. So, you know, tune in, subscribe, like, share, so that I can con you further. Flashpoint Media. Mm-hmm.
That is it. On edition. Sir Edgar, do you have a nickname?
Don't tell me, Mark.
No, I have been given many names.
Oh, really?
Many names from primary school to high school to university and subsequently. But unfortunately, some of them I have to give you the cut edition. So my primary school nickname or my early school nickname was Pastor. And that's the cut version. It was Pastor something else, but
Oh, I see. But
Pastor.
Well, type it in.
Type,
Yeah, send it to us. Send it to us, let me see. We want the audience to see why we smile. So, come on, get the phone and type.
It was a young man who was my senior at the time who gave me the name.
Pastor
And
so-and-so.
he gave me the name on the cricket field.
Mm.
Yes, Cedric Go. That was.
Well, hello, Cedric. Like, subscribe, and share.
That's right. That's right.
And then several years later, in high school, I attended a under 17, the national under 17 training camp for cricket, and I got the name. I got the name Pastor, and it was Pastor something else.
Come on now.
And the reason for that was because for one of the innings, I actually left the camp, but got permission to leave the camp to attend church. And that was North Street.
But it's gonna be Pastor Ducks.
No. so Pastor
Something.
Pastor something.
Type it in. Mm-hmm.
One of my nicknames.
Oh, I see. So what's the one when you went to college now? They did all they did in high school. College now.
You mean university?
Mm-hmm.
I will give you a cut version.
Why are we doing the cut version? This
This
is
is
uncut.
Cut version.
So type it in, yes.
Midget.
Hey,
That's one of mine too.
let's become African. Hey. Hey.
You know, for me, I remember growing up. Well, as a baby, I was called Mum,
Mm.
and I
wow.
hate. Even though I'm triggered, I hated the name because I associated Mum to that of an old lady.
Grandmother.
So, as Connie said, grandmother. And I remember in high school specifically, I was teased because of my last name, my maiden name. And my classmates would call me Broomy, Broom sweep the field, and
Yeah.
I would get so irritated. And the more irritated I got, the more the name stuck with me.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned. So I say, you know what, Nicola, you have to change your strategy.
Yeah, embrace the
And
name.
eventually, guess what? I started to love the name Broomy. So when I started to journal, every one of my journals had Nikki Broomy.
That's nice.
And I know, apart from my panelists tonight, I know if I hear anybody calling me Broomy, it has to be one of my classmates from high school. So that's my nickname. In my close circle, if somebody calls me Nikki, I know that's an associate.
Yeah.
If somebody calls me Nick, then I know that's somebody really close to me. So those are names that have been given and they have stuck ever since.
Nicky Mums.
Hey, hey.
So what does your name mean?
I'm getting there.
Which one? The Mums
No,
are
not the home. Not the home. But I promise you we are getting there. Now, I have a question. I'm coming to you now. If you could rename yourself, like for me, well, that was a nickname, right? But if you could rename yourself, what would you choose and why? Connie.
I would not change my name. I think it's so unique, and even the history behind it, the fact that I was named after an educator. I'm also named after a queen, and my aunt decided to name me after my aunt, who is Constance Rowena, and I am Constance Faye Patricia. And I would not. And I thank God that they did not think of Faith, because I don't think Faith fit me. And Vanessa absolutely doesn't fit me. This is perfect. I would not rename myself.
So Edgar?
If I remember correctly, like Connie, my aunt gave me the name Edgar, my maternal aunt.
Okay.
And I would not change my name. I believe my name is unique. And there are different versions. Persons have different versions of the name. Some say Edgar, some say Edgar, some say Edgar.
Yeah.
There are so many different versions of it. But I love my name. It is unique.
It is unique.
And a name, the impact of a name, the power of a name is in its association. What you associate with that name. And when persons say the name or call the name Edgar, in their minds, and this is based on experience, in their minds, they associate that name with a Christian gentleman, one who is genuine, one who is kind, and one who is persevering. So I would not change my name.
You know, Edgar sounds rich.
Yeah.
But you know, here it's a prosperous swordsman.
Exactly. Edgar sounds really rich to me. You know?
And funnily, the fact that they called you before pastor, but you are now ordained elder. So it's like EE. So it's so perfect that you were named Edgar because you're now Elder Edgar.
And is that evangelist? Are you an evangelist as well? Yeah.
I would say yes.
Yeah,
Of course.
Of course. I know.
Maybe not the typical evangelist,
You
but
are.
I love to share the word.
Amen.
So that's it.
Did I say amen?
Yes.
Say amen.
Yes. Don't be afraid. Uncut. Go on your move.
So initially in prep school, I loved my name. I was the only person in the entire prep school with the name Jenny, and I felt special.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody else, you probably would have heard a 1-2 name, you know, but my name was literally so unique that I was the only person in prep school that had that name, and I would not change it for anything. However, fast forward a couple of years, I remember I was sitting down at my mom's workplace one day, and my sister and I started to play some games. And then she paused and said to me, Janine, let's play a game. Let's try to write our name in a different way. Let's see how well you can write a name so that it doesn't actually look like your name, and see if it spells another word. And I did that. And my name, when I did it, it spelled Jane. And funny enough, when I was also looking up the meaning of my name Janine is also a derivative of Jane. And I said if I should ever change my name, not that I actually want to, but if I should ever, I would like to call myself Jane.
Beautiful.
You know? Jane.
And Lady Cassie is on. So, Lady Cassie, please introduce yourself and also tell us the meaning of your beautiful name. I think you're muted.
Okay, hi.
We're hearing you now, Kat.
All right, so I am Cassandra, and my name, the meaning is, it's a Greek origin, primarily means shining upon man or excel over men. I am just appalled at this meaning.
Because I gave you that look, you said. Don't worry, over man. Feminists may love this name, but I don't know.
It also carries a symbolic meaning as Cassandra in Greek mythology. She was a prophetess whose warnings were never believed. Hence, she became a symbol of an unedded prophet. So, that is rough, right?
Sorry.
But biblically, the meaning is shining upon man. The Christian meaning is helper of mankind. Now that's a meaning that I can relate to, right?
That's right. So you're very helpful when it comes to muscles and nerves and all these things.
And Kathy, would you change your name?
I would not change my name. I would not change my name. Although when I was in school, I got a lot of teasing for my name because some people would call me Cassava, right? And I was just so annoyed. Like, why can't they call my name properly? You know. But I wouldn't change my name. My dad named me, and there's this song that what's his name? Dennis Brown sings that says "Ride on, Cassandra, ride on," right?
I don't know.
I'll have to look that one.
Yeah, I look that song, man.
I can identify with that song, you know. But
Uncut. Okay, fine. Right on, get
uncut, right? Sorry,
Right on.
right.
Doing that one, Patty. You know,
Yes. So
Oh my gosh.
I would not change my
I wouldn't change my name. I love my name. I love that I got the name Cassandra, and I feel that some people tells me I have friends who tells me that they believe I'm clairvoyant. So I don't know if that clairvoyancy has anything to do with that prophet, um, insight, that prophetic insight that Cassandra would have based on the meaning of the name. But then nobody believed those prophecies of her. There was man who I think maybe somebody in the Cassandra of old, somebody had an interest in her, and because those interests were not met, then he cursed those prophetic messages that she would have, and then nobody believed her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then again, that's why she reigns over man.
There you go.
Um,
There you go.
Man.
Okay.
Man full stop.
I wouldn't change my name either, and I've grown to appreciate my name, especially in college. So whenever my mom would say Nicola, I knew I was in trouble.
Yes.
So I have been called Nicola up until college. One day, our principal was doing a roll call, and when she got to the counseling department, she was calling the name. I heard her say, Nicola. I turned around because my name is Nicola. One of my batchmates decided to challenge the principal, and he said, no, 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 her name is Nicola. He said, she said, stop. No, no, no. Her name has the H in it, and the H is the difference. Her name is also French. If you put an S to it, you get Nicholas. Take off the S, you get Nicola. And on that, she said to me, your name, not Nicola, is not Nicola, it is Nicola. And I was so impressed because it had a new ring. And when she said it, I sat up tall in my chair, and I was so impressed that I had to go and look up the meaning of my name. And I found out that Nicola means victorious one. And because I learned my name for everything I've been through, I remain in faith and victorious any and every challenge. So for me, I would not change my name.
Yeah.
Now, we are moving on. Have you guys ever heard some unusual names though?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
I think,
yes.
Jenny, you had some. I saw one where somebody had four S's and a was it four S's and a T?
So yes.
How is that one pronounced?
So 4S,
And a T.
forest. 4S.
Did you get it?
So you know the show Forrest Gump.
Mm.
Run, Forrest,
Oh my
run.
God.
So it's 4S,
Four S
T.
and a T.
forest.
First.
What about you, Edgar? Have you heard any unusual names that you can share? Not the cut edition.
I hope you don't think I'm selfish,
Okay.
but there's this name I heard.
Mm.
It is spelled Alake.
Wait, go again. A-L.
Alake.
K-E.
Alaki?
Alake.
Alake?
Yes. So it means one to be honored.
Mm.
Yes. So when we had our first son, I decided to use that name, but twist it to have a French twist.
Mm.
So my first son, his name is Alec. Aleque.
Ah.
Similar to how you would pronounce mosque.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You are a true Jamaican.
Definitely. That's for sure. What about you, Kathy? Have you heard any unusual names? All right.
Well, I've heard
What?
tonight. I've heard one that totally let me want to put the mother in prison, and then I've heard one that totally spin my head. The child's name is JKMN. That's always spelled J capital J lowercase KMN. Can you or anybody else pronounce that name?
No, because I'm not hearing what well.
Chicken.
That will pronounce that one.
It's Noel, as in Noel.
I think no Alice.
Noel is in. So the child's name is Noel.
Okay.
Okay.
No, no L.
I think that as the meaning, not the pronunciation.
But that's how they pronounce. You write it down on the bird paper and you pronounce it. It's no L. Hello.
No L. Kathy, are you on?
So I remember when I was naming my son, Caleb, in the year when I named him, a lot of people thought that was such a funny name and it sounded like an old name because he's a baby now. And then my grandfather was also Caleb. So everybody, who hear that name for the first time just think that why would you name your son such an old name? But funny, they grew into it, and I mean, I would think that Caleb is a beautiful name. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yes,
Caleb,
definitely. And I've heard a lot of Caleb.
yeah, Caleb. Spell it with C something. K. Yeah.
Definitely.
I have friends who have a whole name like Bertram, and I'm like, I'm even to call the name because I just think that the name is older than the person, so I try to find
Yeah,
it.
All Cephas. My grandfather's name was Cephas. I would never dream of naming a child Cephas. Like, I mean, it's from the Bible, but I did not. Hey, Cephas. Oh.
I actually came across a gentleman. I know he must have felt very weird hearing his name. And I remember he was a patient of mine, and I remember having to walk with him. So I waiting here with probably about 30 people sitting down with him.
Okay.
And I looked on the name, and there's no way I can call this guy's name because it's going to be embarrassing if I actually do. In my line of profession, you need to call first name and last name to make sure you're the patient. I didn't even bother to say the first name. I just said Mr. R and the last name. And then when I went into the room with him, I asked him, "Can you pronounce your first name?" And he's like, "I don't really want to, but it is actually what it is that you're thinking. That's how it is."
It's a bad word name.
It wasn't a bad word, but I thought it was really. I think his mom was really, really not so kind to me. His first name was actually retard. So. Right, so
It's it was actually French, but because we're in Jamaica, we don't know how to roll the tongue, so it's retarded. Or
let me be clear for our audience. I only laughed because I looked across at Ellie.
no, I know there is an island somewhere. In Jamaica, we don't do good, and we hear someone, and we name them.
that was one of my first time. I just wanted to say this. No, that's what I just said it.
It's Mr. Richard.
Are you sure it wasn't Richard?
No.
You want me to put an iPad? Come on now. That gentleman into this program. We are
I know the name. I know that name as a nickname for someone, but not as a
real
first
name.
Your
Yeah.
birth
On
certificate.
his birth certificate.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
That's why I
wow.
was like,
But that brings me to my next question. Have you ever faced challenges or surprises because of your name? And I'm sure Mr. Retard has had some challenges. Are we taking a break? Okay, I'm sure Mr. Retard has had some challenges, you know.
Can you refer to him as Mr. R?
Mr. My apologies. Mr. R has had some challenges.
It's
You know?
retard, you know. It's retard.
Oh, it, retard.
Retard.
So my question to our panel list tonight: have you ever faced challenges or surprises because of your name?
Well, definitely not from my name, but from my voice. Because I do sound like someone who could be Caucasian. Don't I?
You could.
And I'm sure if I put the spin of a British accent, I do come off not African American or black. And so that tricked a lot of people. And the name, perfect. So when I say, oh, my name is Constance, and I would like to have an appointment to speak with so and so, they swear that I'm blonde and white. And when I tell them, it's like, oh my gosh, she's being black. I was like, oh, got you. So yeah.
Go ahead, Edgar.
The name Edgar is also Old English. So several persons always, tell me that I have a old name. And then Edgar, the name itself sounds like a popular
singer.
No, not a popular singer, but a popular item that individuals consume.
Oh yeah, Edgar.
So I normally get a nickname in relation
Wait
to
first,
that
hold
item.
on, don't go too far. I'm very interested in this name. What kind of item that? Hold on, make me think. Because charades has come into this thing. So your name, Edgar, is synonymous with some food,
Is it a liquid?
It's not a liquid.
Is it something that is used intimately? Because I know y'all thinking it. I will say it for y'all. Is it something that's used intimately?
No.
Oh. Anyway, that's it. I'm invested.
Yeah, I mean,
Edgar, you're doing the cut business, and I know you're not send out to us where is something them you are talking about your name as it. So what is this thing, this item?
No, I'll see it later.
Oh, for crying out loud!
Commercial.
What about you, Cassie? Have you faced any challenges? Or...
I am facing challenges right now.
You know what? I can't say I've ever faced any challenges or any surprises to my name. I've heard people say, you know, I knew a Cassandra. It's usually the reaction is usually pleasant when I exchange, when I tell people, some people my name, I met this lady that I gave a massage. She is Caucasian. And we had the same name, and it was just
I think we have lost
somebody who's white and we share the same name. I must say, admit that surprise is more like, having learned that the names is not as common as it would seem. And then when people find that out and they're like, what do you do, Cassie for short? Or, because, or it's usually surprises, like pleasant surprises when I relate to some people in giving them my name. Yeah.
And last after the show, I think I was referring to you, Cassie, and I was standing beside Ellie. And I love to shorten people's names. I feel like I interact with them better when I do that. And I refer to you as Cass. And then immediately I was reminded that, but we don't say Cass. So I just went back to Cassie. So I don't think you heard me. So I won't refer to you. I will stick to
That's me.
And that I must say I've been called before. It was just they were trying to be the affectionate calling names. Cascas. If you want to get me off, call me Cascas. Because
I'm no I'm in bed. But that's me. I mean, I am from Jamaica. I was born in
Cass. But I've been called Cass or Sandra by my family. You know, if you call me Sandra, then I know you know me from a little girl. You know, because my family are people who know me from that stage. Is they refer me to as Sandra.
Yeah.
But persons who I'm around generally, you know, for work or other interest, go with Cassandra. And then my close friends and people who knows me outside of those environments go with Cassie.
Right.
Yes.
The little I've known about you so far, you're part of you know, you see like a person who's ready to help. Yeah. Very insightful, very encouraging. And I've seen that so far about you, and I really do admire that. So keep it up.
So much, Nicola. I really appreciate it.
No nonsense. That up as well. You know?
Thank you.
For me, I have challenges because of my name, but I've been extended grace. Not because of myself, but because of my name. So growing up, my parents would insist that we have respect for people who they are, irrespective of where they're from, especially their elders. And I remember in the taxi to school, before I even I would say, but I won't leave. And that was a constant every single day. Now, when it rained, we used to walk from school to the bus park. And if the rain caught us, we would be soaked. And I remember a particular evening, I went to take taxi. It rained, I was wet, I was cold. And the adults were just pushing me aside, so I couldn't get into any taxi. And there was this particular taxi driver. He was about to drive off and he saw me and he said, "Let that one in." And again, I looked and he said, "Yes, you." He said to the adults were not very accommodating. And he said, "Well, one of you but you coming in." And he said two things about her. She's very good and I know her. And her dad, good man. And that tells me that my father has accepted me and what he has done. It's not only my but the character that goes with it. So it's not just, so I have not had any challenges, but I believe I've been extended grace because of my family name. Now, I have another question, and we're going deep. Can we go deep?
Yeah, man.
All right. Can a name shape your identity or destiny? And while you think about it, let me say this. Yes, it can. The panelists, they're thinking. But for me, yes, it can. Why do I say that? And I'm coming to you from a Christian's perspective. God changed Abram's name to what? Abraham. Meaning father of many nations. And this, and you know, it was reflecting the covenant and destiny that God actually gave him. Here's another one. After wrestling with God, Jacob's name was changed to Israel, meaning he struggles with God, marking a transformation in identity and spiritual purpose.
No, you're not at the wrong station. We're still on cut. All right? But in our Christian perspective, names reflect identity and a calling. I do not care where you're from. I believe that your name, it has a calling on your life. And that is why parents have to choose names carefully. In Christianity, names are not just labels. They're often signifying purpose, calling, or destiny in alignment with God's plan. All right, so I am going to stop talking. And my panelist, I'm going to ask, starting with Jenny. Speak. Guess what? We're going to take a break and
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
Our water because we did not get tea this week.
Yes, customer service. Oh wow!
While we're sipping our water, I almost choked because Ellie over there just told us that she has heard of names.
She has met a Jezebel.
She has met Jezebel.
Mm-hmm.
She has met
Jamaica.
Placenta.
And Placenta.
Placenta. Are there other names?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
no,
goodness.
I feel like the person who said placenta is missing an hyphen or something. It can't be placenta, so rah.
I think what happened is that the mother is pregnant and did not know that it's I don't know.
It's not a name. Is that a name? She heard that and things say it did nice to go name one fitness up.
And it probably has a ring to it, you know.
Placenta.
If you don't know what it means, you know. And I am noticing, and I'm giving Jenny the chance to respond. But I'm seeing Michael Williams. He said, "Good evening." I see, and my apologies in advance if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. I am seeing Thesia.
Tekla.
Tekla. Oh my goodness.
You see?
That's a beautiful name. Tekla. McClarty.
McClarty.
And Tekla means light of God. That is so beautiful.
That's nice.
Indeed. I am seeing Dane M. And Dane M says my middle name.
Jessie. It's pronounced Jessie.
Oh wow.
How is spelled?
Oh yes. Jessie.
Gyasi.
Gyasi.
And then it's pronounced Jahsee.
Jessie.
You know, it's almost like they're saying, just see you. You know what I mean? Just see, and it means wonderful. And I'm seeing Arlene.
Noel.
Good evening to you, Arlene. And we would love to see the comments coming in. So we're turning over to Janine. So talk to us.
Yes.
Dream being your identity or your destiny. Yes, I actually agree.
I'm here. Okay. So I was saying that your name is somewhat it being your identity, it is also somewhat related to your brand. It's I know it's something that we're going to touch later on, so I don't really want to speak much about it. But when it is that you actually step into a room and your name is being called, it actually does help somebody to know who is in the room. I know I have had the privilege of meeting other Janines before, and when it is that I hear the name Janine, I just automatically think of a very nice, pleasant girl. I don't know if maybe because I think that I'm nice and pleasant. But there are some people who actually have heard the name Janine and they said that they've actually met a mean Janine, and they don't necessarily when they hear my name they don't actually have they think that I'm going to be a mean person. So it does kind of identify you, and it's in regards to your destiny. Um, that one is a little tough, but going back to the meaning of my name, God is gracious. Um, I guess it does point to the fact that we all are extended grace from God, and we all have a kind or like I said, for me, when I think of my name or when I hear my name or I hear the name, I think of somebody that is kind and pleasant and all. So I actually associate my name with that. So I guess to some extent, yes, your identity and your destiny is also determined by your name.
Well, I we mentioned earlier that we should be intentional. Back in the day, they were intentional when they made their children. Synonymous with calling. I would only made reference to Jacob, and Jacob meant a deed. And so, of course, if you're coming up with God, it's going to change that persona of you. Of course, the name changes things like that. But we must be mindful that God is an all-knowing God. And as the years go on, we tend to think we're wiser, but we have gotten further away from it. So names now, many persons, parents who name their children, are not really looking for a name that is Christian or a name that is attached to a meaning. Some people just hear a name that you know it, hear one name.
Exactly. Yes.
Right?
Where I was going. Right.
The person that is called or China or LD, God is not will not hold to you a destiny of negativity based on lack of knowledge as well. cause some of us to get some news. I look back to some. And I also, let me go to even Revelation first, where God says, I will give you a new name. So already I have my real name in heaven. So whatever I'm called on earth will not stop my destiny because I was born to be for Christ and to live with the promise of given. I run back now to Psalms and it says, my eyes have seen your substance while you were being formed, when you were still not yet perfect. I wrote your members in my book. That's God telling you that, so for the first, when your vagina and placenta, that's not what, listen, God looks beyond, or, what me I call it now, or nonsense, or the human logic, and see who you are. You are not vagina. But even if you're called that, if that's your name, think about the great and beautifulness of a vagina. The world would not function without a vagina. And if you think about the placenta, come on now, the child, a human life could not live or survive without it. So even when the enemy meant it for bad, God, because vagina and placenta, we cannot function without it. Aren't I right?
Uncut, uncut edition.
While Esther is getting into
I don't think Cassie knows a placenta. Go ahead, Cassie.
So there's a little signal issue. It keeps coming in and out. My apologies. So I was tuning in so much with what Constance was sharing. It's so important that when you have children, check the meanings of the names, the meaning of the names, because the name that you're giving your child can become a burden to them, or it can also make them feel empowering. It can become more empowering or burdensome. Now, here is why. If you give your child a name and it is so hard to pronounce, can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And it is so hard to pronounce, and everywhere they go, people are always messing up that name, and they always have to be telling, oh no, this is how it's pronounced. You say what's in a name, but for some people, their name is everything. You know what I mean? So it's important that you're guided and that you ensure that you know what the meaning stands for, and then it doesn't become such a burden as the child move forward in life. So yes, I do believe that your name can shape your identity and your destiny, because you are seeing yourself in the light of what you were named, and that how are you position in the world. People are going to judge you based on what they think your name mean, or they're going to resist you or empower you. So your name is such an important part of who you are, and it does shape your identity and can eventually shape your destiny based on how the meaning or how you're called as you grow up. I hope I came across well. I'm having a little static in my area.
That's okay. Thank you so much. But Nicola, before Elga speaks, maybe I'm looking from a Christian person versus a world. Because if I'm go there, or I see that my name shapes or fulfill my destiny, then I'm taking away more from today's life. Because though God may not have a whisper, or maybe he gave you within never hear, but even though God may not have given you your earthly or influence, God already has you in high esteem. And he already has outlined already for all of us, irrespective of your where you're born, whatever your name is, he already says, can a mother forget her suckling child? And the answer is yes.
But I have a question for you. Does God know your name?
He does. God says, I know your name. And that's why I started with what he says, that he also have a new name for you. Because he knows this one that we get may not make sense. Some may be right, and some may be so off the chart. That's why he says, you know what? I'm going to give you a new name.
But even with the new name, there is something about you, the individual, whatever name you were given, there is something about you that you are called. Alright? But at the end of the day, God sees you. Even if it's placenta, God sees placenta. There's a song that says God sees what we do. So even if placenta does not feel good about herself, because I'm assuming it's a woman, even if she doesn't feel good, God can see the value in placenta.
And so if he does that, are you then saying that because she named placenta, she has a negative destiny?
No.
Are the name going to shape placenta from being the CEO? She will indeed have obstacles. And she'll be mocked, of course. People are gonna and she will have to answer a lot of questions, and that's gonna become a norm. And she can choose to say, you know, I'm gonna be resilient, I'm gonna keep that name because you know what? It's a conversation. Or she can say, you know what, just to get rid of this foolishness, I will change it. But at the end of the day, if placenta bright and she designed technology, where you got about it? I just don't feel the name subscribes your destiny. You design your destiny by making your name become the brand of the destiny. But
You have been speaking my thoughts. So I'm wondering what I'm left with to share now. Because each person has a responsibility to write his or her name, or to say his or her name, or to make his or her name, irrespective of the name given to you at birth. However, it is true that the name has a psychological impact.
Yes, it does.
For persons or for parents who did not consider or properly think about the names they're giving their children, it would impact how they relate to their children. And then that in of itself would have a psychological impact on the child as well. Because if that name means something derogatory, that person will have even a more, it will become more challenging
Confidence barrier.
to
Definitely.
relate to others, or especially if that person comes under increased scrutiny or additional peer pressure because of that name. However, as you mentioned earlier, the important thing is that if you are given a not so nice name that would suggest a particular destiny, then that name can be changed. But the changing of your name, or the changing of one's name, depends to a large extent on that person being willing to surrender his or her life to God for God to do that transformation.
And I must say that if Moon was not my nickname, if Moon was my name and not Nicola, I don't know how high my self-esteem would be. And again, we are saying tonight that it is so important for parents to be intentional when they're choosing names for their children. Because at the end of the day, what do we have?
One name.
We have our character. Which leads me to the final segment of tonight's book. I've been told that your name is your brand. Your name is your brand. That's what personal brand is. When somebody says Edgar, what comes to people's mind? When somebody says Cassandra, Honey J.E., I mean Cassandra, Janine, what comes to you? When you walk into a room, what are people thinking? Your name is your personal brand. Right, Arlene? I know you're online. Because it's often the first and most lasting symbol of your identity that people remember. You don't have to be in a room for people to talk about you,
Yeah.
but they'll call your name,
Oh, yes.
right? Just like a company name, your name carries associations, reputation, and emotional responses in others. When persons call your name Ellie, what are they thinking? So my question to my panelists tonight, how does your name function as your brand? Kathy.
How does my name function as my brand? Well, I would say my personality helps a lot to carry off that brand. Yeah. How I respond to people, how I treat people, you know, how am I remembered when I'm not in that room? If I'm supposed to be there and I'm absent, what are people thinking? You know, Cassie's not around or Cassandra is not around. It's important that whatever we project on the world, that it be a situation where we are remembered, people can connect with us on an emotional level. We are making an impact, a positive impact on the people's lives that we touch. So, yes, I believe our name is our brand because however we, treat people or how we respond to others, how we care for them or not, that is how we're going to be remembered. And is it going to be a good memory? Are people going to be happy dealing with you or even, no, 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 I don't want to hear about that person. I don't want to hear that name. How do people, how would they respond when your name is called? So, yeah, I hope I answered the question. Your name is your brand, and definitely I am making sure that my brand is one that is felt and that is remembered and that I have maintained a positive impact on the world by sharing Christ, modeling, being Christ-like in my character and how I, live my life so that others can see that light through me, through that brand. If I'm a Christian, and I must ensure that others can see Christ in me and want to come and know that Christ that I serve. Thank you.
Well said. Janine.
So I agree with Cassie. I
I agree with Cassie on that. That one of the things that we should actually aspire to do is to make sure that we are being true representatives of Christ. Um, and to some extent, I too try to live up to that expectation. Um, like I've said before as well, I actually think that I am, well, I think, I'm sure there are persons that may have come in contact with me that don't necessarily think that I am a nice person, but I think that I'm a nice person. And I think I'm also kind hearted. And I hope as well that based on my name being my brand, that too would also be shown to others that as a child of God, I am displaying his characters. I am being gracious to people. I am being kind. I'm being pleasant. And when it is that somebody comes into my space, into my presence, that they actually feel as though they are loved. And yeah, that is what I would say.
And may I add quickly too that for every brand you must have a tagline or a mantra. So for my brand, my tagline is aspire to inspire before you expire. Okay, somewhere along the line I saw it and I adopted it and it became even my email. So whenever I use that email, it's not that long, I've shortened it. So it's inspire before you expire, right? That's the shortened version. But why it's important that even in your branding that you have a tagline, it represents who you are, what you're about, what's your mission statement, what impact are you having, do you want to have on the world, or when you come into contact with people, what impressions are you leaving with them? And so that tagline for me is for everybody that I come in contact with, I must leave a positive impression on them. So in whatever way, one of the meaning when we shared earlier, helper of man, that is one of the godly meaning of my name. I want to make sure that I am carrying out that mission because I believe that would be my God given mission. And I want to be intentional and purposeful about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as we're turning over to Connie, I'm seeing Arlene here, and she says, "You're correct, Connie J.E. The world would not be without the JJ." She also said, "I love my name."
Come on, Elder, you can laugh, Elder. You can smile. It's unconditional.
You're in a safe space. So went on to say, "I love my name and I get a bit peeved when it is incorrectly spelled or it is mispronounced." And I get that a lot, especially when you take pride in that name. Your brand, you want to make sure that people know your brand, they pronounce it, and they understand that when they see this individual, they see your brand. Connie.
For me, my tagline is to live forever. And I've added, as I grew older, I've added more because I've seen that not only just to live forever, and you may ask, Connie wants to live forever. I will live forever. First ways that my grandmother said, always teach. So whatever I've learned, I must pass on because when you teach someone, they will forever remember you. Because when they pass that on, they have to then tag you in. Gotta tag you in because Connie taught me that, so I'm teaching you that. And I want whenever someone says Constance or Connie, they can't imagine a world without me in it. And when you hear my name, persons will know, oh, she's talkative. Definitely that. But you know, with Connie being talkative, I am the life of the party. I'm going to be straight up with you. You know me, I got to keep the thing dead. And I'm also a protagonist. So if I find that you are in need, I'm steadfast in the face of any trials. I'll be there with you. I know family and friends can say that about me, that if they need help and if they need to go fight nobody, they'll call me to pray. Right? They want me to pray. But no, I am the person to come to because I'm going to keep it real with you. So when you hear my name, the first thing you're going to know, Connie's going to keep it real. She's going to talk the things there. I'm jovial. I'm the life of the party. But guess what? You'll never be able to imagine the world without me in it. And I'm going to live forever in that.
Straight. Your name will live on.
Yeah, definitely.
Take it away, brother.
One of my taglines is the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come.
Oh, yeah.
And that tagline is born out of my experience. I'm from very humble beginnings. And I imagine that many persons were surprised as to how the Lord has led me over these years.
Yeah, what you mean?
Prosperous souls, man. Now, I've had many nicknames. But even the nicknames have a particular brand because they are unique, they represent, and they are such that persons remember them. Persons cannot or don't easily forget them. So and so. Yes, so people remember them. So people pause to listen when I speak. And very often they will not forget the things I say. They will not forget how I made them feel. I usually find very creative ways to work a problem or solve
And
an
can I
issue.
interject right there? He's 100% correct. Let me tell you, we have been struggling with this mic, you know. And we, the ladies, we were getting a bit flustered, frustrated. And Elder Bennett said, "Where there's a will, there is a way." And he would not stop
Till he found it.
until he found the way, and we're able to present.
And me, who want to live forever, was saying,
So you're 100%.
It was Michael, was Mandela who said, "It is impossible until it is done." There is a way, and we can always find a way. But it is important to find the right way or do things in the right way. So it comes back to the notion of representation. And how we correctly represent is by not taking the name of the Lord in vain.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Tonight, we asked the question, what's in a name? And we do hope that you have had some time to actually sit and think about what your name actually means to you. And if you haven't, we hope that you'll start thinking about it, because at the end of the day, your name is actually your brand. Over our name can carry weight. Think of figures like Martin Luther King Jr. or Mother Teresa. Their names are shorthand for entire legacies. While not everyone will be famous, your name still becomes a legacy within your church, within your schools, within your community, family, or profession. Your name is your brand. You shape what your name means to others through your choices and your character. Whether you are given a common, rare, disturbing, or even stigmatized name, how you live gives it power and definition. For now, my tagline is futuristic. When Jesus comes, I want to hear him say, "Nicola, well done, dear faithful one." And as we close tonight, I leave this quote with you. Being known is far less important than what you are. Then I'll go back. Being known is far less important than what you are known for. A good name is more desirable than great riches.
That's it.
And that's Proverbs 22, verse 1. I want to thank my panelists tonight, including Kathy, who joined us online, for your enlightening and jovial perspective. I want to thank those of you who joined us online as well. And to our audience, you were awesome, you were engaging, and we hope that you had as much fun as we did. Until next time, you were watching or listening to Real Talk, the uncut edition. Although Edgar, he did do some cut edition.
Yeah. But if you subscribe,
I'm here.
version, yeah.
We shall have a new name in that land that listen. Yes.
We don't want to start another show.
Yeah.
And if you want to come next week.
Yeah.
So here is what we're going to do. What's in a name? Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep the conversation going. I was your moderator, Nicola Williams. Have yourself a wonderful night.
Grooming it well.
Welcome to Flashtalks, the uncut edition. Just say it how you feel it.
This is where vibes meet voice, jokes meet truth, and we talk the things.
Tonight, nothing is off limits. There's culture, relationships, mental health, Cayman life, we're touching it all. It's raw, it's real, and it's about time. We are not here to play safe. We are here to talk what's on everybody's mind.
From hot takes to belly laughs, the crew is locked in and ready.
Real people, real voices, real conversations. That's what Flash Talk is about.
Big vibes, big topics, small island, but big conversations. Flashback. Let's get this started. Talk up the things and not straight up